So here's another issue. I was sitting around thinking about the process of learning steno, and I was thinking about how difficult it was for me. The common denominator. I'm not a prodigy. I am not exceptionally skilled. I didn't have any kind of um, um, training that would enhance my dexterity and my tactile uh, usefulness. I'm not a pianist. Learning to write words when I was first learning, like rat, sought, taught, caught, rap, sad, sop. Those words, it took me forever, or at least it felt like forever, to get to where I could write those words comfortably at ten words per minute. It took forever. Okay. It took, I would say, probably about a month until I knew that I could comfortably write those words at a speed that I was proud enough with to move on to the next material in lapwing theory. That's where I'm basing my my reflection on. I did not learn something like this. This, in my theory, is the name Kim. This is Kim, K asterisk EUPL. This, in my theory, is direct, TKRBGT. This, in my theory, is the word place. This, in my theory, is the brief automobile. We just started the third week of theory. There is no way that a brand new student, keep in mind the things that I said in my last video, I are still valid to me. Okay. I think that a student should prioritize as soon as possible speed building and phrasing. Okay, briefing is already taught in schools, but speed building and phrasing, and maybe even they should start. A school should emphasize to try to brief everything that you can. Okay, now that probably won't happen in theory one because a student doesn't, especially someone who has no experience in steno before. Again, they've gone through the A to Z program and they're just jumping in with their feet dry. They have no idea what's going on. Maybe teaching a student how to brief as many things as possible, it's not going to work because they're brand new. They don't know the core mechanics. They don't know the theory yet. They don't know the letters. They don't know advanced concepts. But how in the world is a brand new student who has only gone through the A to Z program and does not have a solid foundation, how the heck are they going to be able to go from Kim to direct to place and to automobile in 10 words a minute? How the heck are they can't. It's impossible. And this is, I think, a part of the problem too that I'm thinking about. Theory is taught way too fast. I was thinking about the student in my class from my class earlier today when he said are we what did he say? He said, and I quote, "Was I supposed to keep up with that?" He said, "Was I supposed to keep up with that when we did dictation that was not even words that were advanced as this? These outlines, the advanced outlines, we didn't use these. We were using very basic words and a lot of briefs." And still, he said, "Was I supposed to keep up with that?" You cannot expect a student to be able to write this. You can't. And theory is taught way too fast. I'm grabbing my book here. I'm gonna tell it to you. We went hold on. Tossing my book around like it owes me money. Hold on. Lesson one was the long A vowel. Lesson one was I'm just remembering how fast this was. Lesson one is the long A vowel and the asterisk. What was lesson two? Lesson 2 was period, initial T, initial P, long O, final T, final P, the number 2. And lesson 3 was a review lesson, and lesson 4 was initial B, final B, E, long E, and the number 3. Now, how long do you think it took us to get through those lessons? That was 4 days. We were supposed to learn all of those lessons and be ready to move on in 4 days. You can't expect a student to know all that stuff and be comfortable enough. Because the thing about theory is you're building a solid foundation that a student can use. You're building their confidence that can get them ready for speed building. That's what theory is. I'm only guessing right now. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm the wrong one. And the mold that the school that I'm at has is good enough that by the time we get to lesson 50, people aren't going to be struggling. People aren't going to be trudging along. By the time we get to lesson 50, students are going to have gotten so good that they're able to keep up with everything. And then this question, was I supposed to keep up with that? This question will no longer be asked. Why? By the time we get to lesson 50, maybe I'm the wrong one. So maybe I'm a bit I'm jumping the gun as far as my concerns and my worries are as far as my worries are concerned. But in my opinion, just on this initial first impression of school that I've gotten, theory 1 needs to be taught twice. And on top of that, there were 2 courses. I've done 3 academic courses before this. I'm taking this theory 1, 2 academic courses, and then last semester I took 3 academic courses because I didn't have my machine. So what I did, I took a law course, an English course, and an English grammar course. And I'm telling you right now, I didn't need the law course. Was it interesting? Yes. Were there some things that I learned that could benefit me as an American as I go through my daily life? Sure. Did I need to take a law course if it meant sacrificing time at my machine, sacrificing time learning theory? No. I don't really have a desire to be a court reporter. I probably will end up taking some of those jobs just to make money. Man's got to eat, but court reporters are not lawyers. Court reporters do not have a say in the goings on in a courtroom. What they do is they sit in a corner and they transcribe, or they take dictation, right? They write on their machine, however it's supposed to be said. They sit in a corner and they do their job. Obviously, if they need people to slow down while talking, they take command of the courtroom when they need to, but they don't do so in a manner that involves them stepping with both feet into the law. That's not what court reporters do. That law course was unnecessary. If it means sacrificing time learning the vital aspect of what's going to allow you to do your job excellently, it was a waste of time. The English grammar course, the English course, that's all fine and dandy. But theory needs to be stretched out. There's no other way around it. It's just taught way too fast. Students are learning key lessons that they should get rock solid training in way too fast. You cannot expect a brand new student who has not practiced steno before to feel good about going through school. Still, because the thing is, it's okay for a student to be challenged when they're learning anything. Challenge is fine. You're never going to be 100% confident that you've got something down that you're learning new for the first time. But to feel like you are alarmingly behind, to feel like you're not, and not only that, to feel like you're alarmingly behind because of unrealistic expectations. And if you're brand new, you don't know that these expectations are unrealistic. So if the school is to tell you, well, you're not practicing enough, maybe you're not good enough, you're going to believe that because you don't have experience that should kind of make alarm bells going off in the back of your head. Hey, this is being taught too fast, or I'm glad that I had preliminary training that made this less intimidating because I know how hard this is. Those things aren't going to be going through your head. You're just going to take whatever the school is telling you as gospel, and you may get really discouraged because you think that you're not supposed to be this slow. This material is not supposed to be this difficult. I should be getting this. When in reality, no, it's okay. Even if a student was practicing 10 hours a day for each lesson, they're still not going to be good enough with all that time to build the confidence necessary to create a solid foundation as they learn more and more advanced concepts. Again, we just ended week 2 and we're already making these words. We're already, a brand new student cannot write this with confidence. A brand new student cannot write this with confidence. A brand new student cannot write this with confidence. Never mind going from this to this to this to this. Theory, and I understand that it's not a speed building course. So I get that. An argument that could be made as well. They're not expected to go from Kim to direct to place to automobile very quickly. That's true, but the point is, theory is a place where you're supposed to be confident that you can not only read this and understand what it is, to deconstruct and reconstruct the English language, but to be able to build the confidence that I know that eventually I'm going to be able to go from this to this to this to this fast in the future. I'm not getting that impression from students in my class at this early stage, and it's because they're learning. What theory is right now, the impression I've gotten is it's cramming. It's just a bunch of cramming. And realistically, even if you could make the argument that a student, well, maybe they're not practicing enough. They're not putting in eight hours every day. If they practice 8 hours every day, they would be able to go from concept to concept to concept on a daily basis. I would say no. Even if that were true, it's not true, but even if that were true, I'm taking an online course. Realistically speaking, what kind of people are going to go to court reporting school normally? People that are older, okay? We're not looking at 16, 17, 18, 19-year-olds. We're not looking at 20 to 25-year-olds going into court reporting school for the most part. I'm pretty sure that that's not the demographic. I haven't looked up the statistics, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but the people that are going to court reporting school are people generally that are transitioning from one career to another. They're trying to change their life. They're usually older. They're usually in their 30s. It's not a plethora of young folk. It's not a plethora of people fresh out of high school that are getting into this trade. So you're looking at people with responsibilities. They probably already have children. They're working a full-time job already. They're in that kind of stage of adulthood where they already have an established routine that they have to meet every single day in society. So they don't have a lot of, people say, well, if you care enough about something, you can make the time. That's true to a point. Realistically, most people are not going to be able to take out 8 hours a day from all the responsibilities they have to learn this if they're taking an online course. In my opinion, this is what needs to happen. Theory 1 needs to be taught twice. And you need to take out some classes that are unnecessary. The law course that I took, the English grammar course that I took, take them out. Vocab, I think, is fine. Because you need to I think a large vocabulary is essential in a profession like this. And grammar is essential as well. But the thing is, you have to ask yourself, is this taking away from a student's ability to become excellent in what they're actually going to be do on the job on a daily basis? The answer is yes. You don't need a law class is taking away from time learning theory. A grammar class is time that's being taken away from learning theory. Theory 1 needs to be taught twice, in my opinion. It needs to be taught once just as a way to just understand the theory, to go through it, and just No expectations, no nothing. You really, you just go through it. You go to class every week and you just get your eyeballs on the theory. And then theory 1 needs to be taught again, but this time with speed parameters. Then you move on to theory 2. And theory 2 quite possibly needs to be taught twice as well. So you have theory 1 preliminary, theory 1 actual, theory 2 preliminary, theory 2 actual. You take this in baby steps, because this skill, the difficulty of this skill is not to be underestimated. This is not something that should be taken lightly. This process of learning this skill is otherworldly. I think I said in the last video, the dropout rate for machine stenography students is around 80%. And I think this right here is a key part of the problem. A new student who is having trouble keeping up with words like the, it, is, so, rat, cat, sod, they're going to be lost when they're introduced to this on their 14th day of theory, or on their 16th day of theory. Day 16. Day 16, and they're already expected to just, oh, okay, here you go. I'm going to throw this at you, and I expect you to become competent at this. Not excellent, but I want you to become competent at this. That you can pass quizzes and no problem, and no one's going to feel like they're lagging behind. There's going to be no confusion. No, that's unrealistic. My first impression of theory in court reporting school is that it is unrealistic. It is built on a layer of unrealistic expectations for students, and students are wasting time taking classes that are keeping them away from cementing this in their minds ironclad. At this point, this early stage, my impression is that theory 1 and theory 2 needs to be taught twice. It needs to be stretched out because it's taught way too fast.